And good evening once again. Welcome to another edition of the Truth Hour. My name is Johnny Guzman. It's a pleasure, as always, to be here with you to bring you as much information as possible. A lot of crazy things going on in our world today. We're going to be bringing in our good friend Santos Bonacci from Australia in just 1 second. But I wanted to mention a couple of things that we've been getting a lot of good emails from our audience telling us how much good work we've been doing. I think 95% of the mail that's coming in is positive. Of course, you're always going to get someone who is not happy with your work, but that's okay. But I invite them to research a little bit before they post some of their comments, because we just don't come on the air here and just think of anything and just talk about crazy things without having researched it or having knowledge of it. But nevertheless, it's a great start for us here. We've been on the air now for about a month and 6 days, and we've gotten good reviews from all our friends in both English and in Spanish. So that's always good news. Well, let me bring in our friend Santos. Good evening, Santos. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Johnny. Yourself?
I'm doing great. I spent a little time in the beach this weekend. I was actually thinking about you because I got to the beach at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed the whole day getting a little bit of sun. And we left around 6:30 when the sun was setting. It was such a beautiful sight to see that sun. I actually saw it for the first time. Just actually, I mean, I've seen it before, but this time I was paying attention to it. I was laying under this little tent on the beach, and the sun was I was just about to see it over the tent. So I said, I'm going to look at it to see how it moves before it sets in the horizon there. So I was actually able to see it, not straight through it, because obviously the sun is too powerful to look at it straight ahead. But I actually saw the sun moving all the way down until it disappeared. And I said, wow, I wish Santos was here so he could appreciate this marvelous sunset here that we witnessed at the beach this past weekend. But nevertheless, it was a good time. Great. It's great to be in nature, and of course, the ocean always cleanses the body in one way or another. But Santos, I wanted to today's topic. We're going to analyze the Astral card of the United States. Now, we did this in Spanish, but we haven't done it in English, so I thought it would be a good idea to share this with our English audience, not to alarm anyone, but to inform them of what's going on. And I was mentioning this earlier that we had a few mails that were kind of calling us crazy because if you remember one of the shows that we did on the high probabilities of an earthquake on the 22nd, there were two earthquakes on the 20th in Mexico, as you know, 7.4 on the Richter scale. And just yesterday on the 25th, there was one in Chile, which was not as high, but it was 7.1 on the Richter scale. And it was pretty alarming. So I posted this up, and just to remind our audience that we are not predicting things, but we're analyzing things and giving this information so people are aware, and obviously for them to go ahead and research on their own as well. But let's get into this astral card of the United States, Santos, because I'm looking at the thing. I'm reading things all day and over the weekend, and I see things just almost getting worse. I don't know if it's my perception. I mean, I'm positive, and I'm aware of a lot of these things, and I'm aware that you say that this year the tyrants will get theirs. But let me tell you, my friend, it's there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, especially in the United States. I was just reading that a gentleman in the state of Minnesota got arrested because he didn't put siding on his house, and they threw him in jail they were going to throw him in jail for 30 days, but then they just kept him for 2 days, and then they gave him house arrest for 28 days. They put a brace on his leg because he didn't finish putting his siding on his house. This is how nutty this is. And I mean, I can sit here and tell you and tell our audience 1,000 things like this, but it's just so crazy. I mean, it's so crazy what's going on in the States. that I just don't know what to think anymore of the United States and what's going to happen. So I think this is a good time to analyze this astral card and get your input and share this with our audience. Santos, anything you want to say before we begin to analyze this card?
Well, I do want to say something about the first comment you made about the earthquakes and the 188 days. There's a video getting around on the internet. It's a 20-minute video, and this guy proves that the 188-day theory goes back all the way to the early 1800s. In fact, he believes that it's been there all the time, and we haven't noticed it because we're not pulling out our calculators. But he says if it doesn't occur on the day, on the 188th day, it's either one of three numbers out. It's either 8 or 11 days or 15 days. That's what he's noticed. He said if it's not, he's gone back and checked all these major earthquakes, and they've all occurred around this 188 days. So it's it's more than the 4 or the 5 instances that we spoke about going back to 2010. This goes back hundreds of years, and he's proven, or he's given plenty of proofs and compelling evidence that that the cycle has been around for a long, long time. We just haven't been paying attention. And this is what happens. This is what happens when the world goes by you. You know, when you don't pay attention, you're busy, you're going to the football and you're working so hard, and all of this stuff just goes straight by you, you know. We don't see any of the cycles. They don't have any meaning. We don't pay any respect to them. We don't even stop and notice them. This is nature in all her glory, showing herself and obeying all the laws of nature, but it's we who are not stopping to pay attention. And that's how it is that that I would say that I've been able to, let's say, uncover all the things that I've uncovered in my videos and research. I've been able to do that because I was paying attention. You know, in order to be able to understand astrology, you have to pay attention to astronomy first. And I did that when I was a little boy. In order to understand astrology also, you need to pay attention to symbols. You need to pay attention to astronomy. Again, so you need to have a good groundwork before you can go and understand these things. So it's all about paying attention. The sciences, the greatest sciences known to man have always been astrology and astronomy. Now, regardless of what the opinion of the masses is, the masses will half of the masses will tell you that astrology is from the devil, and the other half will tell you that it's a pseudoscience because it's not based on any kind of scientific method. And yet, both of those parties are totally and utterly wrong, and they're not paying attention. What they're not paying attention to is the causes for most of the things that we see, even the weather, even your health. You know, when you're feeling down and you think, or depressed and you have some health issues, rest assured that all of this is in your birth chart. It's in your stars and in your signs, in your birth chart. Now, we're going to have a look at the United States of America's chart for the period of July, because July the 4th is Independence Day for America. Now, what does this mean? Well, what's going to happen, or what did happen on Independence Day, astronomically, most people won't realize that. They've got no idea what July the 4th is. July the 4th is a very special and significant date in terms of astrology and astrotheology and astronomy. It's apohelion. That's what it is. It's the exact day when the sun is furthest away from the Earth. And it's around about 3 to 4 million miles away from the Earth, further away from the Earth than it is when the sun is in Capricorn on January the 4th. So January the 4th and July 4th are opposite days, exactly 180 degrees opposed to each other. January the 4th is perihelion, July the 4th is apohelion. So it's closer to the sun here in Capricorn, and it's furthest away in Cancer. So just bear that in mind for a start. Fact number 1, July the 4th is apohelion day. And let that sink in. It's pretty powerful. Fact number 2, when the sun reaches the Tropic of Cancer 2 weeks before July 4th, on the 21st of June, it enters the sign of Cancer, but it also, the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, is in the constellation of Cancer. Well, officially it's in Gemini next door, but it lines up with Cancer when you watch it rising and setting. So what is actually happening at apohelion day is that the sun is conjuncting Sirius. So you have the brightest star in the sky is conjuncting the sun. So they're together. You can't see Sirius anymore. You won't see it for 72 days. When the sun conjuncts Sirius, Sirius disappears from the skies for 72 days, like all other stars, right? But this is what's so important about July 4th. And the founding fathers who were Hermetists, George Washington, Thomas Paine, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, all these guys, they chose July 4th because they wanted Sirius, their guiding star, to be part of their history forever. And of course, July 4th is the great day of the conjunction of the sun with Sirius and the beginning of the dog days. And Sirius, the reason they call those very, very hot weeks of summer the dog days is because the dog star, Sirius, is conjuncting the sun. And the ancients said that that's why there was extra ferocious heat in summer, because of the brightness and the magnetic influence that Sirius has on the sun. And when they are together in the sign of Cancer, well, you know, it's going to be hot. And they say that is because of Sirius. So there's fact number 2. Okay? Now, fact number 3 is also very important. And Orion, the brightest constellation in the heavens, is also in the sign of, well, it's in the sign of Taurus, but it's around that area. But Orion now, when the sun on July the 4th, Orion is actually now very, very high in the sky. So Orion is the Lamb of God. Orion is the hero of the skies. He is now in the mid-heaven. All right? So keep those 3 facts in mind. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab my little whiteboard and I'm going to show you the importance this year of the planetary alignments, okay?
Okay. So this is extremely important, folks, because in this show that we're going to give you tonight, Santos will show you how the planets are going to align, and he's going to explain in detail what are the effects when these planets align in a certain position, what will happen to the Earth, and in particular to certain areas. Okay, so let's bring in Santos. Okay, Santos.
Okay, here we are. Now, I have drawn out as clearly as possible the skies on July 7th. So this is July 7th. Now, here is the circle of the zodiac. I've put the ascendant over here. Now, I forget what time I took this. It doesn't matter because every hour, every 2 hours, this is done 30 degrees, okay? So you can choose any time on July the 7th and you'll get pretty much this alignment. Now, I want you to pay attention to, see, these signs here are the cardinal signs. Okay, these ones here along the cardinal. So these are the equinoxes here, and these are the solstices. Okay. So what you have is you have, there's Libra, the scales, and you have Saturn and Mars will be in Libra on July the 7th. Okay, the other cardinal sign over here is Aries, and of course the main villain that we have over here is Cancer and Capricorn. These are the 4 cardinal signs. All right? Now, I hope that's clear. So these 4 cardinal signs, these next signs over here, for instance, this one over here is Taurus. That's a fixed sign. So cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Now, so the reason I'm pointing this out in astrology is because cardinal signs are very, very strong. They're very powerful. They're always at the pressure points, and the pressure points are these: the longest day of the year, and the shortest day of the year, and the 2 equal days of the year. So you see, that's why the cardinal points are important. Now, what's going to happen on this particular day is this: the sun will be in Cancer. There's the sun. There's the symbol for the sun. Over here you have the symbol for Mars. Over here you have the symbol for Saturn, and I've put them in red because these two are great, powerful planets in the solar system. They are called the greater malefics, you see? And that's bad. That's not good. Whereas these two, Jupiter and Venus in Gemini, these two are the benefics. They're good guys. So what we have is the sun is going to be aspecting. Now let me get this right. I need to consult my yeah. The sun is going to be 90 degrees in aspect with Saturn. All right? Now, 90 degrees in astrology is a very bad aspect. Okay? So there's one. The sun is also on that day. You'll notice that the sun is talking to the cardinal signs, you see? These are all 90 degrees spaced out, you see? And those 90-degree distances are very bad. Now the sun will also be squaring, this is called a square, with Uranus in Aries. So Uranus, who is the daddy of Kronos, are opposite each other. Okay, so here is a square, and now the other interesting thing, Pluto is in Capricorn, so there's a square there. And now here's where it gets interesting. Now, if this was going to be a perfect um, grand cross, these points from Pluto, the point from Pluto should touch Saturn, but it doesn't. There's a bit of a problem here in that these two planets open up this section here of the square. You see this great square, don't you? All right. Now, it's not complete because of these two. Nonetheless, this is what's happening, okay? And this is very strong. The Sun is also opposing Pluto. And over here we have Mars opposing Uranus. So we have a square, an incomplete square over here, perfect over here, with the Sun, Uranus, and Pluto. And then, of course, you have oppositions, 180 degrees. So that's pretty much a grand cross, a cardinal grand cross, just slightly incomplete because of these two planets. But what is noteworthy is this, my friend. This is what I've discovered, that 238 years ago, when George Washington declared independence, some of the planets that are here in position now were also in position on that day. For instance, Pluto was in Capricorn. Saturn was in Libra. The Sun was in Cancer. And see the Moon between Pisces and Aquarius? That's a waning moon. That's exactly where the moon was on Independence Day, July 4 in 1776. Now, that's pretty significant. Look, to say the least, that these planets here, the Sun, Saturn, Pluto, and the Moon, were all in those significant positions. Now, this is, I mean, I wouldn't be able to give you details of what might potentially happen around that time, but this is very, very, very strong. It's very, very strong energy. These are transits.
Santos, but what do you mean by strong? Like what happens when the sun is in opposition to Pluto in this case? What effect does it occur?
Well, okay. Let's go into that a little bit, shall we? Pluto is the planet of destruction and transformation, and Capricorn is the sign of external authority. You see, institutions, etc. So, as in the days of George Washington, when there were revolutions and all sorts of things going on with the external world and authority, and the transformation. I mean, they transformed the country. I mean, whether you're a fan of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights or not, or whether you understand what they founded, which was a republic, whether you understand and appreciate that, they did transform their country at that particular time. And many astrologers have noted that that is due to the great influence of Pluto in that particular sign. Now, of course, we know that Pluto takes 248 years to go around, you see. And one round is called a return. So Pluto has finally returned to the place, right? This is the great marker, Pluto, because he's finally returned to the place where he was when independence was declared and when those revolutions happened so many years ago. And so the sun opposing Pluto, I mean, that's a bad aspect. Now, the sun is electric in energy and very masculine. Pluto is considered to be a masculine sign also. So this particular aspect here being a bad aspect and squaring with Uranus at the same time, and also the sun squaring with Saturn, but Pluto squaring with Mars. I mean, this is Saturn is very happy in the sign of Libra. Libra is the exaltation of Saturn. So, and Saturn is about justice. And you see this little line here that makes the glyph of Saturn. That's the scythe. Saturn carries the scythe. He's the Grim Reaper. So this is Libra, which is ruled by Venus, and where Saturn is exalted. This is all about justice. This is the sign of justice and judgment. You see. So squaring over here, Mars and Pluto squaring with war, the god of war, Mars. This could be potentially something, very martial that will occur around that time, around Independence Day. Mars is going to be involved, you see, in the actions of Pluto, in whatever he's going to achieve, and Saturn and the Sun, of course, have to do with justice. So basically, this is going to be activated. Okay, this energy is going to be activated in the heavens. So we've got judgment, we've got martial in the sign of judgment, and we've got all these big boys in the cardinal signs, where you see the cardinal signs are very strong because they have all the angular momentum. You see, there's longest day, shortest day. So we have a lot of pressure. This is cardinality is talking about dynamics, like real powerful dynamics. So these planets positioned in the cardinal signs on that day are going to have the effect that they have: war, judgment, destruction, transformation, vitality, and intensity. And Uranus is revolutionary and electromagnetic and free and rebellious and all of that stuff. So we can look forward to some big changes, my friend. I'm not the kind of astrologer that can sort of, give predictions based on the transits of these planets. But I'm hoping that there is someone very, very competent out there that will be able to have a look at the 4th of July through to the 8th, 9th, and 10th, where these very, very strong alignments are going to take place.
Santos, and what does the waning moon? What's the role of the waning moon in this chart? What does that mean?
Okay. Well, when the sun's in, you can tell that the sun is the moon is waning at this time because the moon is going down, and it's going this way, right? Now, everything goes that way. All the planets, they all go around this way. Okay. Now, if the moon were over here, that would be a rising moon, because the moon is new. The moon will be new when it conjuncts with the sun, and it will be full when it's opposite the sun. So it'll be about 5 days for the moon to get from full moon, and then it'll wane, and it's waning here. A waning moon is an ill omen. So the moon is here saying, she's also giving her message on that day, and this is the message of the moon. The moon and Neptune. Here's Neptune. Neptune will be in Pisces, and the moon will be right here in Aquarius, right next to each other. So the moon here is going to be squaring with Jupiter and Venus. There's two strong lines going from Neptune to Jupiter, and from the Moon to Venus. So here is another square, and I'm going to highlight that because this is very strong. So the Moon waning on this particular day, where there's so many squares and oppositions, is an ill omen, and I'm suggesting that it has to do with I don't know. I've got a hunch it's got to do with Mars over here. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a sort of a martial kind of a day, fiery. Who knows? I mean, it might be a revolutionary sort of a day in terms of changes in government and external authority, justice. Cancer is about, about family. It's about let's see, feeling, motherliness, parents. It's the Cancer. It's watery. And Aries is also a very, very strong cardinal fire sign. It's about, arrogance and pushing forward and willpower and determination. It's the ram. So you've got the ram, the goat, the crab, and the scales. These signs are very, very significant, you see.
Santos,
So it's all,
and would Mars be in opposition to Uranus as well?
yes, that's Mars. This is the black line that I've drawn in here. That's that one there.
So what does that mean to be in opposition those two specific planets?
All right. Well, you'd have to look at the interesting aspects of Mars being in Libra, which is judgment, and Uranus, which is also dealing with. Let me just check some of the interesting aspects of Uranus. Okay, Uranus represents individual freedom, originality, independence, marginality, avant-garde inspiration, ultra-modernism. Fire is its element. Fire. See, he's happy in the house of fire because Aries is fire. It is dry, it rules Aquarius, and its exaltation is in Scorpio. It represents inventors, odd characters, and revolutionaries. Nervous, its temperament is nervous to the extreme, and characterology, emotive, active, and passionate. So these are forces to be reckoned with. We know the sun is the big force. We know these two are the malefics. This is the destroyer and the transformer, and this guy is the revolutionary. Individual freedom, originality, independence. So here's a way cooking at the independence aspect of all of this. And you remember Independence Day happens 3 days before, on July the 4th. So people are going to have independence on their mind around this time. And that's interesting because Uranus takes 84 days. He got 84 years to go around. So most people, if they live to 80 years, they're lucky to see a Uranus return. You see, the sun returns every year, right? Mars returns every 2 years, right? Saturn returns every 30 years, every 248 years, and every 84 years. Then you've got guys like Neptune. Neptune's sitting on about 160 years. Venus is 200 and something days. Jupiter is 12 years. Okay, so these returns, this position doesn't happen sort of every second year. This is something like this is only going to happen once every, say, 250 years. So it's pretty big.
Santos.
Um,
So can we say that because you said Uranus is a planet of revolution of change, but
yep.
is in opposition to Mars, which is the planet of war. So could we say that
Mm.
maybe the people are going to finally try to liberate themselves, and they can be sort of handed down by the long arm of the law, and sort of like the true colors of the U.S. will come out in repressing the people that are trying to finally liberate themselves? Could that be a possibility in
Oh,
that?
absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. People here with Uranus in Aries, this is very powerful now because remember, Aries is the head. I've always in my videos I explain that the astrologers place the head in Aries and Taurus, and the body, the human body goes right around here, and the two fish of Pisces, they are the 2 feet that are placed at the back of the head, and in here is a human being, as above, so below. So Aries is in the head. Sorry, Uranus is in Aries, which is in the head, and this is what's causing a lot of people to feel, to have the feelings of what Uranus is representing: individual freedom, originality, independence. Squaring with Pluto in the house of external authority. Hey, we don't want external authority and institutions and corporations anymore running amok. So Pluto is there destroying them. Uranus is here giving us individuality in the head and freedom and rebelliousness in the head. Mars is going to be over here in the house of justice with Saturn, the boy of justice. And so potentially there's going to be some, the military might, who knows, there might be a coup. There's the military in the house of justice. Finally, it's going to take, it's going to take them so long to get their act together and say, okay, Barack Obama, you're a big shot. You're a big shot corporate thugster, and you haven't come good on any of your promises. Here we are. We are going to give everybody their independence. We're going to give justice, administer justice, and there's going to be some transformation. Possibly, people are going to go back to the republic that was founded 238 years ago, and back to law, true law, rather than this Vatican canon law and admiralty law in the courts. So maybe this is what's going to happen on that day. I'm hoping that it will all be beautiful and good, and it won't be destructive. But certainly, this is all powerful, my friend, and it's just going to depend on a good astrologer to be able to isolate all these transits and give us some real firm predictions.
Okay, so we would invite anyone in our audience that is very well educated and has many years of experience in astrology to analyze this, what Santos has just put forth on board, and that if they can go into more detail, as he says, to predict the transits and be more specific. We're always open to suggestion, because this is what we're doing, and we want to share information, and nobody says that we know all the information. So if there's someone out there that can help us with this in a little bit more in detail, you're more than welcome to please contact us or Santos to further discuss this interesting day of July the 7th. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to keep talking about this. This is extremely interesting. Don't go anywhere.
For sure.
Okay, and we're back to the Truth Hour, and we're talking with Santos Bonacci. Santos, what does this mean? This Grand Cross? How often does this happen, and what are its characteristics?
Well, it depends on. You can have a Grand Cross. Last year there was Grand Crosses everywhere because Saturn and Jupiter um, have been opposed to each other for a long time. So these are slow-moving planets, you see. So when the slow-moving planets are opposed to each other, it's very, very likely that a Grand Cross will turn up. I'll explain how that happens. Um, Perhaps if I can start a new board here. Now, let's say, oh no, I can use this. Let's say, well, for instance, here we have Pluto's going to be here for a long time. He's going to be around here for 25 years, right, in Capricorn. Saturn will be here for 2.5 years. The moon stays in a sign for 2.5 days. She's the fastest. 2.5 days. Exactly. And Saturn, 2.5 years. Because Saturn takes 29.5 years to do an orbit, and the moon takes 29.5 days to do an orbit. All right? So remember the relationship between Saturn and the moon, the two magnetics. It's a 2.5 day, 2.5 year. Very interesting, these two. Very interesting. Mars, he takes 2 years to go all the way around, so he'll be in a planet for in a sign for 2 months. Now, so you can see that Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, they are really, really fast. Okay, and of course the Sun is fast too because he goes through a sign in a month. So he'll be in Cancer for a month, and then he'll move over to Leo and bring the summer. So he's going that away. All the planets are going that away, slowly, all of them. None of them go backwards, except when they retrograde. Okay, now you've heard of retrograde. Retrograde, what happens is a planet like Saturn will move forward this way constantly, and then all of a sudden it'll go backwards. It'll actually physically go backwards. It appears to go backwards. That's retrograde. But apart from that, then it stops and it goes what they call direct. So then it'll keep going direct, right? And then it'll come to this point and then it goes retrograde again. And it comes to this point, but it's always going forward, right? Now, so depending on whether slow planets are in bad aspect to each other will depend on how many grand crosses you get. You see? So some years you'll rarely get them, and some years you get a lot of them. Okay? So that's how that works, all the aspects, etc. But I want to bring to your attention and the listeners' attention, and I spoke about this last week, I think, there is a grand trine in the sky at the moment, and it's an Earth grand trine, okay? So in other words, it incorporates all the Earth signs, which are Taurus. Let me make that in black so it's more visible. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. There's a grand trine right now at the moment. And it's being caused by Pluto
Santos,
over here.
can you explain what a grand trine means?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I've already explained the grand square, right? We've got the square here. This is the bad one. Squares are 90 degrees in astrology. They are very dynamic and powerful angular momentum type angles. They're too strong. And of course, when you get a grand square, you must have a grand cross in the middle, okay? But a grand trine is different. It's 120 degrees. 120 degrees, 120 degrees, and 120 degrees. Makes a perfect equilateral triangle. Okay, I know mine's not perfect because I'm just doing this very rough, but it's perfect triangle, you see. And that's in the sky right now and for most of March. Until the 30th of March, when another grand triangle will appear and you will have a Star of David, pretty much like this. It's going to look like that. So you'll have that will be in the sky on March the 30th. Two grand trines superimposed over each other. Now, a grand trine, these angles are very, very good. These are soft angles. And they're going to be caused by Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter and Venus, I think it is, over here. And Mars is over here at the moment in Virgo, and Pluto's over here. So they're causing this grand Earth trine. Excuse me. And I just want people to look out for it because it's only a couple of days away. Just bear in mind, keep it in mind that we've got this beautiful grand trine. It's great energy. It's Earth. It's solid. Earth is very sensual. It's very strong. It's grounded. It's kinetic. And it has to do with solidity and fixability, etc.
So what does that mean for us, Santos? What does that mean for us?
Look, it means a lot of things. On the physical plane, it's abundance, it's wealth, it's prosperity, it's fatness, it's all those good material wealth type things. You see, that's what the Earth is all about, and the senses. So the senses are being, being blessed with some good angles. Nonetheless, though, Jupiter over here, he's a benefic, and these guys are transforming, and Mars is the warlike one. So, those planets are the players. So it's a martial, fiery, beneficent. Jupiter's so beneficent over here, and Pluto is transforming. So I would say it's transforming. It could be having an effect on the economy, on those types of things. The economy, the wealth of nations, or the I don't know, perhaps the reordering and the restructuring of wealth. It's probably this guy Pluto causing this grand trine. It's probably going to be, mean something to do with. Who knows? He could be destroying the dollar and bringing in a proper currency based on our energy, our own energy, rather than fiat currency or something like that. But I'm just bringing it to your attention because that's pretty unusual. A Star of David is very, very rare. It's very rare in astrology.
And that star, how long would it? How long you say it's going to show up in the end of March? The second triangle.
The 30th of March.
And
there
how
was
long would
already
it go?
one on the 2nd and 3rd of March. So 2 Stars of David in 1 month is quite incredible. Now, I don't know, Johnny. I don't know what this means. I've got no idea what this star on March the 30th really, really means. But look, I'm just suggesting that it's going to be powerful in some way. I would suggest that people just tune into that energy, because it might be something to do with, you know, it might be some kind of consciousness shift that we experience, or something like that. Certainly worth
Paying attention to it.
thinking about. Yeah.
So I mean, Santos, in this timeline that we're in right now, um, with all these movements of the planets and these grand crosses coming, and these the start of David, as you pointed out, and among other things that I'm sure are going to go on in this year, is it safe to say that we're looking to move on to another timeline, sort of in this shift of consciousness, to leave this tyrannical timeline to a new timeline where we're gonna do away with all this tyranny all over the world, with what I call non-human controllers, because I always say this: these people cannot be human, because no human being can be so bad like these people. So is it safe to say that we're heading towards a new timeline or a different timeline?
It is. It is safe to say, and rest assured that the destruction of the external authority will be complete in the next few years. Absolutely, rest assured. These planets are going to cause that. Uh, what can I say? One only needs to be in tune with the science of astrology to understand how that works. It's cause and effect. And the stars are declaring the imminent destruction of this system of things. It's a system. It is totally and utterly corrupt. It's putrid. It's a system whereby external authority has imposed its control over society for too long. And you've got things like big pharma treating disease instead of curing disease. You have religions that are teaching counterfeit, false versions of the true science, which is astrology and astrotheology. So they're teaching falsities in church where you think you're getting saved. You go to court where you think you're getting justice, and what you're getting is canon law, which is Vatican law, and it's the law of the high seas. It's not the law of the land. It's not common law. So we're getting counterfeits everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. We think we're free, but we're slaves. In fact, our birth certificates are securitized bonds which are floated on the stock market, which are owned by the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve owns you. It owns, and people think, oh, Australia's the land of the free. Oh, America's free speech. We're free in America. It's not like those extremist Islamic countries like Afghanistan. Free? How can you be free when a bank owns your soul, body, mind, and everything? They own it because of their system, their fraudulent system of stocks and bonds, and our birth certificates are securitized bonds, and they're basically certificates for trading. And the banksters have made, on average, about $1.2 billion off every human being that the Federal Reserve has administered. So you see, that has to change, and it's going to change. And this Star of David, it's quite powerful, my friend. I don't know whether I've pulled up the screen. I'll just get my camera and show you guys what it looks like. This Star of David. How's that? Can you see that? Yeah. There it is. As you can see, the Earth signs, Pluto, Jupiter in Taurus, and Mars is in Virgo, but here you have Pluto still in Capricorn, of course, and there's the trine, the grand Earth trine, and then you've got this other and Saturn over here, the Moon over here, and Neptune over here is causing a water, two water and one air trine. So you can call it a earth and water trine, really. And so it's very powerful. That's the Star of David.
Hmm.
You realize that's what you just saw, the Star of
Right,
David
right, right.
on March the 30th. So it's a watery, earthy, grand trine situation. I'm not really sure what it means, but let's look out. It's going to be something to do with emotions and senses. Our sense, you see, our
Hmm.
possibly our we're going to have a paradigm shift in our sense because let's face it, the sleeping masses, the sheeple, they put a lot of trust in their senses.
Right.
And you see, so yeah, and they believe in their senses. They won't accept sciences that don't appear to have any founding in method because they really believe in their senses. So they need that shifted. Hopefully this is going to be a shift, in their emotions and in their sense perception of reality because it's been poisoned, you see. Like I said before, you go to the doctors for a cure, but they just give you a treatment and they always tell you, they do not use the word cure. It's illegal. Big Pharma has made that word illegal. In fact, when Dr. Sebi went to America in '89 and he said that he has the cure for all diseases, which he has, he was taken to court. And he took 79 people with him to court to prove that he'd cured them. They had their papers and everything. They were cured of AIDS, cancer, and all of that. Hundreds. He's cured every disease known to man with herbs. The reason why they dragged him in is because he used the word cure. If he had said, I can treat cancer, I can treat AIDS, no worries. They would have let him go. This has to change. This has to change in the world. We need
Uh-huh.
cures. We
Y-
need cures. We need
mhm.
people to be cured. We
Right.
need we need remedies. We need legal remedies. We can't keep going to court thinking that we are the name. We need to have remedy in court when things that injustices have been done to us, and
Right.
that has to change. We need enlightenment instead of education, so our institutions have to change, and we need a meritocracy whereby people who have the merits can guide and steer the offices of government rather than having criminals like Barack Obama and George Bush who are just writing, you know, blank checks to military industrial complex and charging more for taxes off the sheeple just to keep the military industrial complex going. We need to get rid of these criminals, banksters, get rid of the whole concept of banking. Uh, we've got treasuries. Treasuries can print money. It's free. That's what uh, JFK tried to do. He tried to start printing treasury notes, and whoops, you can't do that now, can you?
Yeah, I think that Santos, that uh, justice needs to come because unfortunately, it seems that we are not playing the game fair. They sort of like are cheating. They dumbed us down. Well, most of us, and we're playing the game of football with six guys, and they have 11, and they're making us think that we have 11 on the field, and they're taking advantage of us. So it's not fair. Where's the free will there? I mean, where's the justice? So as I'm sure you know, and I know, everything is balanced in life. So something has to happen so this balance can go back to its normality, and do away with this tyranny, because they've been cheating. They have been cheating, drugging us, poisoning us, controlling us through media, through their monetary systems, to their courts, to everything. So, and we think that we're free, as you said before. So I think definitely justice is heading our way, and actually I'm grateful that I'm around in these times, because I'll be able to see this in these wonderful yet crazy times. Anyway, Santos, thank you very much for your time once again. I will see you on Wednesday for La Hora de la Verdad. Thank you for being here with us and contributing always your wonderful information. Thank you, Santos.
Thank you kindly. Take care.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for being here with us another hour. We will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock Ecuadorian Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the United States and in Canada. Also, we'd like to invite you to join us in Facebook. You can find us there as QLP Multimedia at gmail.com. And of course, if you missed any of the shows, you can see us in our YouTube channel. Just search for us as QL Television, and there you can see the whole list of the shows that we've done since we started Quantum Leap Television. Well, it's been a great hour. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening. See you.